Hello, and welcome to the Come to Your Senses podcast. I'm your host, embodiment-based coach, Mary Lofgren. Here, we explore how to live bravely and beautifully through a lifestyle of embodiment. You'll hear gems to empower you around mindset, mindfulness, somatic psychology, and neuroscience, as well as beauty, food, style, and the art of slow living to meet your soul through the senses. I am so happy that you're here. Let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Come to Your Senses. Last week, I recorded an episode called Healing Through Grief. And at that time, my little pup Winnie was going through an MRI. And they did discover a brain tumor, and Winnie passed away, which if you are one of my newsletter subscribers, you already know. You can see a photo of Winnie's last moments and an altar I created to her on my Instagram, Hello Mary Lofgren. And I want to say thank you so much for everyone who has sent well wishes and condolences. Winnie was a very, very special friend, special pup in my life. And we were an epic love story. I got Winnie when she was 3 months old, and it was 2 weeks after I had separated from my husband. And she was covered in mange and rife with dysentery. And as a friend once said, well, you were not really that different emotionally. You had emotional mange, which was true. And Winnie and I, we were very, very connected. And those of you who have lost a pet know about that special ache, but I am slowly learning to adjust to life without Winnie. And that kind of brings me to today's topic, which is that one of the ways I comfort myself during difficult times is with really light, refreshing topics. And I remember once doing a health intake that was really extensive and probing and challenging. And at the end, the woman said, I always reserve the last 5 minutes for us to talk about purses and handbags and shoes so that you leave here feeling light and feeling good after a heavy conversation. And I so appreciated that. And so today, our topic is my most essential beauty habits. So this is a vast topic because I am a devoted beauty lover. So I'm actually going to spread these out over 2 episodes. And beauty is not just something that I enjoy personally, but also professionally. In addition to being a certified embodiment coach, I am also a licensed esthetician. And so in today's episode, I am going to share with you my personal favorite beauty habits that help to elevate my mood, boost my glow and my radiance, and help me feel like just a walking vessel of the essence of beauty. We are going to talk about not just practical tools and products that are worship worthy, but we are also going to talk about the essence of beauty and embodying the imprint of beauty. So my favorite book on beauty, spirituality, presence is Beauty, the Invisible Embrace by John O'Donohue. And so I actually pulled a few of my favorite quotes from that book to begin each of our gems to help to cultivate a sense of beauty through your senses on the outside, as well as in how you feel on the inside. And as a special treat, my team and I have been hard at work cultivating a list of 10 of my most worship-worthy skin and body care products. I have so many products that I could recommend to you, and I will talk about some of them in this episode, but really there are 10 products that are just my desert island go-tos, and I wanted to create them in a beautiful catalog, a PDF, present them to you in a way that feels more luscious than just clicking a single link. So if you go to schoolofsensualliving.com/beauty, BEAUTY, you can download the Come to Your Senses Worship Worthy Beauty Product Guide. And with that, let's dive into our gems. And so where we'll begin is with the word habit, beauty habits. You know, to me, a habit is a practice that has become so embodied that it is now a way of being. It's not something that you have to think about or effort towards. It becomes your natural resting state. And the reason I chose the word habits instead of just beauty practices is because each of the gems that I'm going to share with you today are really about elevating your everyday state of being through this ancient art of beauty. Beauty to me is not just prettiness, although prettiness can be beautiful. The dictionary definition of beauty is pleasurable to perceive, which I just absolutely love. And I was just reflecting on beauty as I'm sitting here in the closet and looking at the shawl that I bought myself for my 41st birthday, which is just gorgeous. It's this $100 red crimson pattern vintage piece with these braided tassels, and I'll post a photo of it in the show notes. You can find a link below this episode. And it's so beautiful. But then when I allow my attention to deepen into it, I see the fact that I saved up for this piece and had it on a Pinterest board for months. The fact that I envisioned the kind of woman I wanted to become, and this is the kind of thing that she would wear. So there is a lot of beauty to be perceived beyond just the aesthetic, pleasing nature of the shawl. And no one describes this essence of beauty more articulately than John O'Donohue. I always say, I've said this many times on the podcast, if I could have dinner with anyone living or dead, it would be first my dad, who's passed away. Maybe second would be Winnie. The third would be John O'Donohue. And John O'Donohue says, what you encounter, recognize, or discover depends to a large degree on the quality of your approach. Many of the ancient cultures practiced careful rituals of approach. An encounter of depth and spirit was preceded by careful preparation. And that brings us into our first gem, which is that beauty is not just something that we consume. Beauty is something that we cultivate. And so one of my beauty habits is to allow my eyes to take in more than just the visual aspect of beauty. For example, right now I'm looking at the pocket door in my closet, which is just a white painted wood door. But when I allow myself to come to the door and notice its details, I see the grain of the wood. And I see the hands that installed it. I know the person who built this house. I see just the genius of a pocket door. I mean, can you imagine the first time a pocket door was scribbled into a set of blueprints? I mean, who even thinks of things like this? A pocket door, in case you're wondering, is a door that slides into the wall rather than opens or closes. And so one of my favorite sayings is that beauty is or it isn't. In other words, yes, we can absolutely do things to enhance the pleasing nature of how something appears, but I believe that beauty is inherent in everything, and that the absence of beauty is not necessarily the absence of beauty itself, but it is the lack of attention, an unskilled aperture to perceive and receive the beauty that is already there. And so I'd like to invite you into an exercise to practice this now. I want you to take a look at your right hand and just notice what you perceive, what you see. I notice when I look at my own hand, the first thing I notice is a new freckle from being at the beach. It's a little dry. There's like some weirdness underneath my middle fingernail, probably some dirt from watering the plants earlier. Okay. And now you can place your hand down. And now I'm going to invite you to look at your hand again and see through the eyes of beauty, just like I did with my pocket door and my shawl. And when I do this exercise, I notice the fact that I'm wearing a ring that I bought myself on my 40th birthday. That was a self-marriage to my intuition. I notice the warmth that I feel when I recall watering my plants. I notice the fact that my hand is not just, quote, getting sunspots, but is starting to resemble my mother's hand in a way that feels very beautiful to me. And so this first gem, this first beauty habit, is to prepare a place for beauty, clearing space in your mind with your breath, opening to, as the Buddhists might call, right view, where you see through a beginner's mind and where you see the hand without just the lens of your conditioning, or where you see the reflection of yourself in the mirror without just the lens of your conditioning, and you see to the true depth of your beauty. Another way to prepare for beauty is to make your beauty practices into a ritual. And so when Winnie was on her way out, and there was a lot of suffering going on in the house at all parties, one night I put her to bed, and she could only really sleep for 10 or 15 minutes at a time. She was only really uncomfortable in her body. And I was just feeling so ragged. I mean, just like the beauty. We were in a deficit here in this house. And so I did the one thing that I know how to do in those moments. I lit a candle in the bathroom. I mixed some salt and coconut oil and sugar together in a bowl. I dropped some lime essential oil and a drop of patchouli essential oil into said scrub. And I took my little dusty, ashy-skinned, hadn't showered in God knows how long self into the shower, and I gave myself a ritual that I call polishing the marble, which is where I scrub devotedly each part of my body the way that I might polish the marble in a beautiful temple or place of worship. And with the candlelight and with some music and with the opening of my senses from the aroma of the oils, the heat of the hot water, the loosening of my muscles, I stepped out of the shower and I massaged the coconut oil left on my skin into my skin, which was now warmly lit by candlelight. And I could see myself in the mirror and I could feel sanity being restored. And what just delighted me about this process is when I went to grab a robe, I instinctively and decisively chose my purple satin, plum, delicious, sexy, lovely robe. I also have a Target robe that has seen better days and is my old cozy comfy, and I love it, and I wear it to bed almost every night. But what was illuminated for me in this process is because I had met beauty on beauty's terms, and I had slowed down to include all of the sensory elements in my beauty practice and in my beauty habit. My hand and my mind didn't have to think about choosing the more pleasurable option. It was just automatic. And what I think is so important about that is that beauty rituals help elevate our resting state to one that vibrates at the frequency of embodied pleasure and awareness. To bring it back to Buddhist principles yet again, right view, the first on the Noble Eightfold Path, is a reflection of the first noble truth, which is that life is unsatisfying because life is always changing. And so that can sometimes be translated to life is suffering. And right intention, which is the second step on the Noble Eightfold Path, is when I reduce suffering for myself, I impact the suffering on others around me. And a trap that I sometimes fall into, a Venus flytrap, if you will, is, it's so unimportant. And like, who cares that you reached for your plum robe? There are so many other important things going on in the world. And that is absolutely the truth. But in this moment, I slid into bed next to my little Winnie, and I looked in her eyes, and I was able to provide for her, to spill onto her this energy of pleasure and luxury and essence. And it didn't take away the fact that she was dying from a brain tumor, but I know that it affected the way that I touched her and the way that I talked to her. And my reduction in suffering, I have to believe, had an impact on her alleviation of suffering. So that's gem number 1, preparing a place for beauty. Gem number 2, beauty is flow. And so this takes us into the more practical realm of beauty. And I learned a lot about this from one of my teachers around these more practical aspects of beauty, Britta Plug, who is a good friend and a real expert when it comes to green beauty and natural beauty and cultivating beauty from within, quite literally through massage and through Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine. And one of the most powerful methods I have used for improving my skin's glow and clarity is facial massage. And Britta has a workshop in how to do at-home facial gua sha, which is a traditional Chinese medicine technique of manipulating the face and improving glow to the skin. She is the co-owner of a company called Wildling that has all different types of tools and modalities to basically become your own at-home holistic facialist. And I have one of her products in the Worship-Worthy Beauty Product Guide. It's kind of a mouthful. schoolofsensualliving.com/beauty. And what I really learned from Britta, I have been an advocate for facial massage for my whole life. When I was 21 years old, I had just moved to New York City. I was actually, I celebrate, featured in W Magazine as one of New York's rising stars in the skincare industry, and I was known for my facial massage. And at the time, I thought, yes, this feels so frickin' good. And I didn't really fully understand the impact of the results that I was creating through the massage. So beauty is flow. So if you bring your hands to the tops of your shoulders right now, and you just massage the tops of the shoulders, the neck, you might hear a little bit of crunchiness. You might feel some tension. You also might drag your hands down along the sides of the throat and the neck and feel some muscles that feel as tight as a guitar string. And the reason this is so important is because the clarity and glow of your skin is reliant on its internal sense or its internal system of nourishment. In other words, lymph, which is your skin's detoxification system, needs to flow down to the chest area, which is where all of your main lymph centers are to clean the lymph and redistribute it back into your bloodstream. I might be losing you. I tend to get a little bit nerdy when it comes to skincare knowledge, so forgive me and come on back. And similarly, your skin also needs food. So it's like your skin needs to poop with flowing lymph, and it also needs to replenish its nutrients through the circulation of blood. When there is tension trapped in the neck, there is no way for the lymph to leave the face, and there is no way for the blood to move up and circulate into the cheeks and the circulatory system, which promotes cell renewal. It gives your skin that glowy appearance. It helps to decrease puffiness. And so remembering that flow leads to glow is really important information and really changes and alters the way that you might touch your skin at night. So a recommendation that I would have is, as you apply your moisturizer at night or in the morning, instead of just slapping it on there real quick, budget yourself 60 seconds to take your fingertips and place them underneath your earlobes. You could do that with me right now. And just do a slow pumping motion from the earlobes, light pressure down towards the collarbones. And once you reach the collarbones, give a little wiggle, and then do that a couple more times. This will help to clear the lymphatic channels and help your skin release some pressure, release some puffiness. Also, when you apply your moisturizer, applying it from the center of the face out towards the temples, the center of the nose out towards the ear, the center of the lips and the jaw out towards the earlobe, because all around your earlobe and your temple are where your lymph nodes reside in the face. And so this pumping motion, moving it out towards the temple and the ear, and then this pumping motion helps to move that lymph down into the chest, which is where we find what's called terminus, which is where the lymph is cleaned and redistributed back into the body. Oh, I feel more relaxed just talking about it. And then with your other 30 seconds that you've budgeted, I'll invite you to place your ring finger and your middle finger right at the top of the jaw. So, if you open your jaw, and you'll find that there's a bottom hinge and then a top hinge, and apply a firmer pressure and just real slow, like snail on a sidewalk slow, deeper pressure into the jaw and just drawing it down. And then moving in towards the lips a centimeter so that you're still on the jaw, but you're just more at the front of the hinge or the back of the hinge, depending on where you're working. And then just deeper circles into that jaw. And once again, this is going to release muscular tension, which is going to allow for more blood flow to get between your face and your body. Okay. Oh, I need an herbal cigarette after that. Felt really good. So flow leads to glow. Giving yourself circulation and massage is one of the best gifts you can give to your skin. And the final gem for today, and then we're going to have a whole other set of gems next week on this topic, is reflecting beauty back. So one of the most powerful exercises and beauty enhancing exercises that we do on my retreats is this See Beauty exercise that we did with the pocket door and with the hand, but we do it with each other, and we just keep going layer upon layer upon layer deeper into seeing and reflecting back one another's beauty. And just as I was writing this episode, I was sitting on the beach and a woman walked by and I just complimented her on her suit. I said, "Oh, I love your suit." And have you ever noticed when you're on the beach, I mean, here in the States anyway, there's this like aversion to eye contact amongst women. I think that there's this kind of threat in the air around what other people think. I don't know what it is. I don't need to analyze it. But what I do know is that when I offered a woman this genuine compliment, her whole face exploded like a time-lapse bouquet in bloom. And she just looked like she was a bagel who had just gotten buttered. It brought her so much pleasure, and it brought me so much pleasure to name the beauty that was right in front of me. And this is an area of my life that I try to be as generous as I can in a way that feels genuine. So I am always stopping my girlfriends to be like, I'm sorry. I am just distracted by how much I envy your spouse right now, that they get to lay across the bed from you and see this level of beauty in their bed. Like, it blows me away. You are a living sunrise. And that might be a little outside your comfort zone to say to one of your girlfriends. I don't know. But you can start with, I love your bathing suit, while making eye contact, and notice not just the impact it has on the other person, but the impact that it has on you to see beauty and to name it. And with that, with our final gem, I want to close with another John O'Donohue quote that says, when we approach with reverence, great things decide to approach us. Our real life comes to the surface, and its light awakens the concealed beauty in things. When we walk on the earth with reverence, beauty will decide to trust us. The rushed heart and arrogant mind lack the gentleness and patience to enter that embrace. So, my loves, this was such a fun one to record. You've got 3 more juicy gems coming at you next week. And once again, if you would like to receive a peek inside my secret treasure box of coveted, worship-worthy beauty products, head to schoolofsensualliving.com/beauty to download the top 10 guide. Thank you so much for listening today. We'll see you next week. For coaching, classes, and community in creating a lifestyle of embodiment, head to schoolofsensualliving.com. There you'll find a free video series on how to reduce anxiety and intercept the stress response through powerful, confident body language. Head to schoolofsensualliving.com/confidence to watch your first video today.